What's up, fellow classers? It's Apollyon here, and we're going to look at some of the top air attacks at Town Hall 11 and Town Hall 10, and try to focus on the different types of air attacks there are at each Town Hall level. Sometimes we'll repeat between Town Hall levels, but let's go ahead and get started immediately on number 37, and we're going to look at a La Loon with a slammer, with E-drag and loon inside that slammer. We're going to do some funneling. It's a very weird design base here with two Inferno towers right next to each other. In my opinion, opens itself for a lot of different types of attacks with that kind of design, but you can see there's three air defenses at the top left part of the base and only one at around 3 o'clock inside the core. But we're just going to take minions and start funneling tons and tons of trash buildings just because we can, and they're not going to be inside any kind of defense range for quite some time. So really good recognition there. And then we're going to drop a king and queen behind just a Sui king queen to start doing some funneling for the defenses and be able to make our way for our slammer to directly path into those Inferno towers, especially because they're multi. It's not going to do anything to a slammer. So we've already done some good funneling with both the king and queen. I haven't even popped the queen ability yet, and she's going to continue to make her way right behind the king. And there we go. Is that I don't remember. I thought we were throwing our slammer into the Inferno tower, but I guess we're just using a baby dragon. I think we can do that right after this as well. Throw another baby dragon in there to go directly targeting to that Inferno tower. And that's just, again, good base recognition, good attack strategy. And now we can, there we go. We can send the slammer into the other Inferno tower. I was just a little bit behind. I didn't know if it went from one to another. And then I think we have, like I said, an E-drag and a loon in there. So we're going to drop a rage and a clone so that when that slammer gets broken up, there we go, right there. We'll have our loons and our E-drag. And very, very tough for that E-drag. He's getting hit by the air defense and the queen, but finally gets the queen at the last second. That would have been a little bit tougher. It is really brave not to use that freeze on the AD, but way to hold it back. And we've got a bunch of hastes, a freeze, and a heal. And we've already dropped our lava hounds down, and they are tanking. They only need to tank for one more air defense. There we go. We have so many loons, and we have one heal that's going to cover the 3 o'clock compartment where that whiz tower is. So there's no chance that this blast damage, you won't even need to use those two loons to distract the whiz tower. We can swag a heal and a freeze, as well as swagging two loons. So just completely crushing this base with this attack. So powerful. Just those open compartments. If you guys haven't seen my other videos before, my other video before about the top attack strategies and how to base identify or understand which type of strategy to use in different bases, I said La Loon is great for open compartments, open spaces where you have those Infernos that have nothing by it. So really good attack there. We'll go to number 36. And here we'll see a dragon, and this is a very interesting one. It's not a drag bat. It's a little different because if you notice here, we have two lightnings and two quakes, and you just don't see that often. If you notice that they're at the noon core where the queen and the air defenses are, they're very, very close together. So we're going to use our two EQs there as well as the lightning. And I'm not sure if he was trying to get both of the ADs, but he does not get both of the ADs. There's spoiler alert, but still gets one of them down and the other one is almost on nothing. There we go with the two EQs, and we'll use lightning in just a second. And I'm actually very surprised he did not try to get the queen in there. He might have been able to take the queen out if he used the lightning right on top of the queen, unless they Supercell changed it where it doesn't hit heroes. But I think it does. So anyway, we've got the king and queen doing some funneling work at 9 o'clock for the queen and the king at 1 o'clock respectively. And then we've got easy access to that other AD at 10 o'clock. And then the other ones are going to be, one of them has no health left. It's almost down to completely nothing. and then the other one is full health 80. So we've got the queen coming in here, queen on queen. The enemy queen wins on this, but then we can drop our dragons in, and immediately they're targeted by the AD. So a little misclick there. We don't want to have our dragons automatically targeted by an air defense when we drop them, but we finally get the lava hound down to tank for that last two air defenses, and then the one goes down and the second one goes down right after. And now all we have to do is worry about some of the splash damage in the Inferno Tower, because there's no more air defenses up. So that's really good. So the Slammer is going to get tons of value because there's no more air defenses and there's no single Inferno Tower up. It will soak up that Sam, the Seeking Air Mine, and then we've got another E-Drag and Loon in there under a heal, and the E-Drag is going to get tons and tons of value here, making its way through the other side. It will hit a Sam, but it's okay, it's still alive. It'll take an air bomb as well, still going on strong. And then finally, I think this Tesla will take it out. There we go. But we have a bunch of dragons left over. We have some minions cleaning up. We have, I think we have, do we have an archer? Yeah. So everybody's just cleaning up this base. The dragon finally gets that last AT, the archer tower. And then we've got our 3-star just cleaning up the rest of the trash. Number 35 is really cool as well. It's just not an air attack that you see all the time, but it is incredibly powerful on the right bases if you can get the air defenses down, and that is a mass baby dragon attack. Using a queen walk instead with this one, kind of a queen charge, because I think we're going to drop the jump right around 4 o'clock. But we're doing some funneling work with wizards and Valkyries. Very cool to use a Valkyrie in order to do some funneling too. It's a little less than a P.E.K.K.A. or something else that that would cost more than 8 troop space, or bowler that costs 6 but probably wouldn't get as much value. And then we've got our king funneling for the queen to make sure that she does go inside the base. We haven't dropped those healers yet because we need to take down that air defense, and it goes down so we can be a little bit more patient and then finally drop the healers down once the king goes down and we get on top of the queen. So we're using an immediate rage because we're going to be going right into the enemy queen and a whole bunch of point defenses. Really nice timing to get that rage down and the freeze, pushing her way through. We do want to save that ability as much as we can. Finally dropping the poison, letting some of these other troops come out. And I don't think, we did have to use the ability. There's just way too many troops that the queen has to deal with. Drops another rage to help her push through the base. And then we've got Loon doing some funneling at 6 o'clock. And then I think the queen dies here, if I'm not mistaken, because there's just too many point defenses and the sweepers is doing. So this is how strong the attack is. The queen dies mid-range or mid-attack, and we still have 2 ADs up. Slammer's going to go get towards those ADs, but we have babies funneling and taking out some of the trash buildings. And it's really up to this Slammer, which I think has, if I'm not mistaken, it has loons or an E-Drag loon, but I think it just has loons in it. But I get confused on all the different CCs and what they have in this. Okay, there we go. So it's an E-Dragon and a loon. And then we just got to try to protect our E-Dragon from that air defense. Then we send a baby dragon right behind it, so it at least gets there a little quicker and helps snipe it out, because the E-Drag's chain lightning is like the most slow attack rate on the face of the planet. I think it's probably worse than a P.E.K.K.A. swing. I don't know. But we've got a bunch more baby dragons, and we have no more air defenses. We do have a couple of point defenses in those archer towers, but that's about it. Wiz towers don't do anything to baby dragons. They just basically tickle them, and then we just have to worry about some of these traps that are coming. That E-Drag is still going strong, and it's not going. Oh, look at that! Baby dragon is tanking for it, so it saves the E-Drag's life. And then we will fast forward this a little bit more as it makes its way down. E-Drag lives the entire time, so I have a couple of baby dragons left over, and that's going to be a 3-star. Nice hit. And then we'll look at our last one at number 33 for Town Hall 10. And this is going to be a drag bat. I mean, again, one of the most powerful attacks at Town Hall 11 and 12. Still one of the most powerful attacks at Town Hall 10. Just again, base identification, learning what kind of bases are hit by it. A lot of them could be hit by drag bat, but we're going to use a dragon for funneling, which is not done all the time. but it works out in this particular attack. We've got the king funneling at 6. Queen is funneling at 3 o'clock. She's going to get that air defense at 3, which is just great for this dragon attack. So we want to get as many ADs as we can. The other one is easily accessible at 9 o'clock, and we finally drop all of our dragons down. Well, we have 3 left, but there we go, right behind the lava hound, because we want that lava hound to tank for these dragons right into the core. We do have a dragon, I think a couple of archers and a witch inside the CC. Have not dropped our rage. There we go. We dropped our first rage there to get through the core, and then I think we're going to drop the freeze at 9 o'clock. Yeah, and with raged up, and then we'll drop our bats there so they take out all of those defenses. The slammer would have been tanking for some of those defenses also, but there's only one building we have to worry about, and that's at noon, and that's that Wiz Tower. If we did have one less bat and maybe brought a freeze in there, it probably would have pushed through those bats to the Wizard Tower. But they would have just absolutely crushed this base thing, because there was no more splash damage for it to take out those bats. That's fine, though. We still have a bunch of dragons, and we finally lost our loons to that Wiz Tower, but it's all gone, and we just have to worry about Teslas. They do get a little bit hung up on the BK, the enemy BK, but it's not enough to slow them down and get taken out by these Teslas. So really cool attack. It wouldn't be the same. You can't have an air attack without doing a drag bat. All right, let's move into Town Hall 11. And number 19, we are going to look at another one of those interesting compositions. And it's an interesting base design. 2 Inferno Towers right next to each other. I'm not a really big fan of this, but if you look at the composition, you've got 4 E-Drags, and then you've got a Slammer with a Lava Hound and a bunch of Loons. So it's not your typical like mass E-Drag or something like that, but it's also one of the first times you'll ever see somebody use a jump just for the queen without having any healers. You do use a jump with like a golem kill squad or something else like that, but it's very rare without any kind of healers and letting the queen get in there. So we're doing a funneling on the south side with the E-Drag. Gets that pivotal snipe of the air defense at the last second, and then we're going to jump our queen into the base here. So I think a fantastic base identification, and looking at that's really, really cool, but I would have never expected to get that much value out of the queen without having healers or something like that. So it was very weird to see that, and then it made a lot of sense after I see what the queen can get. So we've got our E-Drags coming in. Really good job doing the funneling at noon. And these archers are going to do absolutely nothing to E-Drags. Their chain lightning is going to eat them up along with the poison. And then we have a slammer to come in at 10 o'clock, a little bit ahead of the E-Drags. We're going to pop the Warden ability and let this slammer lead the way, tanking for that air defense, tanking the enemy queen. But E-Dragons do so much damage to queens. We've dropped our clone. That's going to clone 2 E-Drags, I think. So we're going to continue going through the base. Now we have a bunch of loons that are going to make their way all the way from 9 o'clock up down until 6 o'clock. So we still have 2 E-Drags up. One is very, very low on life support. And it's no longer on life support. It is done. But this base is completely crushed with a bunch of these loons that are making their way towards 6 o'clock. And we just have to worry about that Wiz Tower, because these expos, there's not enough of them to take out that huge group of loons. Only the Wiz Tower could do that, but the Wiz Tower is taken down by those rogue loons, and now it is lights out for this base. Really like just the cool composition that you don't see all the time at Town Hall 11 for using E-Drags, but really nice nonetheless. Look at number 16, and we're going to do a La Lune Queen Charge, which is one of my favorite air attacks to do. The Queen Charge gets so much value on so many different types of bases, and we're using a jump here as well. So just you see a very common theme with jumps and queens. just to make sure that they get in their way in the base, get the CC takeout if they need to, get as many of the air defenses and the Inferno towers just for pathing. So there we go with our wall breakers to break into the base. Now we're saving that jump to get into the core right to the Eagle artillery, but being very patient on this jump too, just using a bunch of rages. Don't want to use that queen ability if we don't have to yet, but we do want to get the enemy queen and we do want to get the Eagle artillery. The king unfortunately walks right up to the queen without any other defenses on it, so that queen will be able to take out that king without popping ability. And now I was wondering why we're waiting so long to use our jump spell, but I guess just waiting for the CC to come out so we don't waste the jump. But we're gonna go take care of that enemy CC, and then we drop our jump spell, and that will give access to the enemy queen, the Eagle artillery, and she snipes the Eagle artillery just in time. It does hit her once, but she's able to take the Eagle artillery. We've already started our slammer with minions behind it, and I think we have to pop we pop the queen's ability to make sure she takes out the enemy queen, and now it's just about taking out as many defenses before she goes down. And we're still being very patient, just letting this slammer do its thing, taking one defense out at a time until it gets into range of that air defense, and then we can drop our Laloon portion with the warden behind it. And we still have our queen coming up from the flank that's taking out some more air defenses and any other point defenses as well. She's not going to be able to get that Inferno tower, but we do have another haste left over, and we still haven't used the warden ability. So that's what we're going to pop right here. As soon as we drop the haste, we can pop the warden abilities to make sure it gets to the Inferno tower. And without being under warden ability, it's not gonna. The Inferno tower is going to do absolutely nothing to it. So we have, I think, we still have one more Lava Hound, right? We have a Lava Hound that's up. It's looks like it's like a quarter health or a little bit less. So we have a Lava Hound, and we have just a whole bunch of loons. That other loon trips the tornado spell just to go for a spin by itself at 3 o'clock, because that's what loons like to do. Really, really nice attack. And then we'll look at one more, because you know what? We already did it at Town Hall 10, but it wouldn't be an air attack, or there's the top air attack strategies, without seeing a drag bat at 14. So we're going to use 11 dragons. 11 dragons is a lot of dragons, with just a couple, like 4 loons, and we have a slammer as well. And no jump for the queen this time, but look at all those bats. We have 8 bats and 3 freezes. So we are going to rely on these bats to do a lot of the work on this base, just taking care of some of the funneling with that queen. We want to get our dragons in from 3 o'clock, being very patient to hold on to the rest of the dragons to make sure that baby dragon takes care of those little trash buildings and defenses, and drop the king to make sure that those dragons stay in that core and don't start straying on the outside of the base. We've dropped our rage and warden ability for those dragons at 3 o'clock, and then we've got a slammer coming up at around 4 o'clock. So we've used our rage, and we're just making our way through with these with dragons. And now this is the thing. Look at our bats. There's no splash damage into those whiz towers. So we've got 3 freezes, and we're going to use those freezes at the right time. So there we go. As soon as it would get in range of that, we drop another freeze right behind it, and that's enough to take out those 2 wizard towers. And then they're going to get sniped by that Inferno tower, because there's nothing that's going to stop that. And then we use another freeze. I think we were trying to get the slammer. I'm not the slammer. I'm sorry. The sweeper, and just enough to get those bats to get a couple more defenses. And we've got an E-Dragon, the slammer, taking out that air defense. But I think the air defense is probably going to get it. Yeah, it does get it right before. But the other dragon snipes it right after that. And then we've got everything coming up on the 7 o'clock area. Just need to take out those last little bit of defenses. And we've got it going good. And we've got the warden still up, helping those dragons. And we'll go ahead and do 2 speed just to watch the last little bit, with minions coming up from 10 o'clock, working their way down towards the dragons. And this is game over. So hopefully you guys like these air attacks. I think I'm going to do the same thing for ground attacks, and focus on some of the top ground attacks at Town Hall 10, 11, and 12. And get used to these different types of compositions, and get a good feel for what you want to use and what you feel works for you. And base identification means a little bit into this too, depending on how many spells of each, splash damage for the freezes and blah, blah, blah. So go ahead, like, subscribe if you haven't already, share them with your clan mates. If you guys enjoy these videos, I'm sure they will as well. Feel free, if you'd like to donate, my PayPal information will be on the bottom. And just go ahead and continue to use those friendly challenges to get those 6-star clan wars and practice those 3-star attacks.